data than ever before, which rolls over once you auto-renew. Enjoy endless social data to text on Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Entertainment data for the apps you love: Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, endless Digicel to Digicel calls on all bundles. Minutes for other local calls and regional and international minutes on the 5-day Prime Ultra bundle or higher. You never miss a beat. Activate a Digicel Prime Ultra bundle today in the My Digicel app for as low as $6.99. Digicel, better connected to the best LTE network.
Dream big, make it your own. Home Sweet gets you any style of home. Be yourself saying home sweet home with a home sweet mortgage. You are number one. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Act now and you won't regret it. POSL. Bank of St. Lucia's enhanced home sweet mortgages are designed around you. Home Flex, a home equity line of credit. Home Quest, for professionals building new dreams. And Home Switch, time to bring your mortgage home to us. Home Sweet Mortgages, make it your own. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. POSL. For more information, call 456-6999 or go to bankofstlucia.com. POSL.
Yo, you don't know original Java Slate S the fun machine in the building representing for Power 97.9 FM. Say, look in the party, boy. Ha ha.
All I want is cash. Bring my paper fast so that I can blast. Yeah, man. Good morning again. This is Power 97.9 FM. The new number one. Well, that's hot though. Yeah, that's hot. That's bubbling.
Beautiful morning. It seems like we woke up on the same side of the bed. Let me tell you, I'm in the same mood. I'm in a very joyful mood because to me, we have so much to celebrate and so much positive happening right now. I don't want anything negative around me. I just feel like it's good vibes only for me today. I don't want to entertain anything negative. Today, I'm taking my time today to intentionally keep a positive energy and disregard and ignore anything negative.
As you should.
I'm in a Julian Alfred mood.
Oh, hail the queen. Yeah, the empress.
Yeah. Yes, big up to my girl, of course.
Juju.
Big up, Juju. Big up, Juju. I woke up this morning. Every time I see a post or something, anything regarding to her, because, you know, when you know someone has worked hard, tirelessly, and to achieve or accomplish something, and they finally do. Woo! And I mean, big respect to her saying that it is St. Lucia's. In her interview, she mentioned that it was St. Lucia's first goal. She's so happy to bring her, win the first goal for St. Lucia, not herself. And not herself. Not regarding this is her. That was her goal as well. You know, her goal to accomplish a medal.
Right.
She's still handing it to us, which, I mean, kudos to her, but it's yours.
Of course,
you did it. And we are so proud of you.
Of course.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
I'm very elated. I'm very happy. I'm still excited from Saturday. You know, watching it live, I was right on the square with everybody. You know, there was the viewing there, and it was such a moment. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel like you swear it's my child. You swear it's me. I'm telling you, I cried. I'm just so. And I woke up and I'm still feeling that way, you know, every time.
I didn't cry, though, but I was really happy. I got goosebumps seeing she was the first to cross the line. So I was proud.
Yeah, man.
Like a father.
You see how she said. You see how she said. I feel like that's my child. Kiki and I, we hosted a pageant, a teen pageant. Every child that came on and said, "Who's her mother?" Kiki asked me, "Who's that child mother?" Every child we have to introduce on stage. She asking me, "Who's that child mother?"
Good job. Yeah, I want to say good job to Julian's mom because she did play a very, 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 very not pivotal role. Yeah, it's your job as a mother to do so, but. You know, not all mothers would do that extra that she did, and I know she did really, really, really have the support of her mother. It was a journey. Yeah. It was a journey. It was a journey, and it's still a journey. The woman's just getting started, you know. Just getting started.
23 years young. You know, she's just getting started. Yeah, man.
Much. And I think that, you know, has motivated quite a lot of young athletes.
Of course.
Especially not just from St. Lucia, but from the Caribbean.
Yeah, man.
Everything used to be Jamaica. The little islands never really got any notice.
Right.
It was always Jamaica.
But you see, even before Jamaica, it was like the Caribbean was not a thing before. It was the first world.
Yes.
But now the Caribbean is a player now. Like, we are players in the game now.
And it's not just us only. I think we have other countries.
Dominica did very well.
That's what I'm telling you.
Grenada as well. A lot of people.
So like you were saying, sometimes it was always Jamaica when the Caribbean got involved, right? It was always Jamaica. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Cause them boys over there.
I tell you.
That boy bold. That boy no joke. You understand? And that boy laughing when he running. You understand me? But then now the rest of us are coming along, you know, and shout out to Dominica, shout out to Grenada as well.
Dominica made history the same time, just about within the hour.
Yeah, man.
They themselves, they got a gold medal.
Of course.
First medal, gold medal in the jump.
Of course.
We're doing things, Caribbean, and I wish we could try to keep that momentum and keep it positive and be a little more like Barbados. You see, Barbados, there's a lot of negative things happening in Barbados, but it's not something that they take pride in broadcasting and sharing. And they would put all the prideful things out there, and, you know, they're not disregarding that they have to take care of the things that are happening at home.
Right,
but this is what they export. This is what they put out there. And I think if we try to maintain that image for St. Lucia, it would spread even among us. Because I believe in energy, and I believe that if you keep pushing negative, and all that, people already feel like that's what's happening.
Of course.
But
Of course.
let's take that Julian Alfred moment, and let us not just let it be a one-time thing and forget about it.
Because we like to push negative.
Yes.
It's easy to push negative.
Yes.
Let's push positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I like
that is
it. I like
that
it.
is a huge deal. Yeah. That.
A comment on WhatsApp here, it says, I cannot even put the pride I feel into words. She is my children's age group, and I feel like a proud mama.
Yes.
Yeah, you did like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Proud
like a proud mama.
She was daughter of Julian.
From Mondays I say my friend. So.
Okay. Nice.
So that's why I feel so happy for her.
Yeah, man.
Very
That's a
happy.
big deal. Big deal.
Yeah.
I think she will be competing again today, you know.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the prelim is today, and
then tomorrow is the final.
Finals, right.
Yeah.
finals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But I have faith. You know, we're gonna do well.
For those listening, QQ, EJ, QQ, we have to welcome our party. You know, it's official.
yeah.
We have to welcome our party.
Excuse me.
Yes, and
You know, we had you nervous. We were nervous too because we were not sure who was.
Yeah.
In that third leg
You know.
of the threesome. But we're quite excited again because it's one of our very own.
I'm telling you.
It's our boy EJ. And you know EJ, the DJ.
I tell you, like I said, a DJ love a good threesome, you know, so EJ fits right in. You understand?
And he has been part of the threesome every now and then.
So you know how things running.
Well in.
Yeah.
Square in a round. A square in a square.
A square.
So welcome, EJ.
Welcome.
In the morning, brace yourself.
Thank
Choose
you.
wisely whose side you want to pick when you see those.
EJ, don't listen to no papi show.
Choose wisely.
EJ, don't listen to no papi show.
come and say-
You know we is weak.
Let me tell you, if you guys have observed in the afternoon, you know, I always used to pick Kimani's mind, especially on the dirty gossip. So now that, you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
So you're gonna remain.
You have to be a man.
You have to be a man. I have to represent.
Quick and fast, EJ, QQ.
It's a good thing I have on my list.
And for those, I know,
On my
right?
back, the men too. Yeah, you're
And for those listening, I have 5 options and you can only choose 2. Which 2 are you going to choose? 25% raise, a company car, no co-workers, a 4-day work week, or a personal assistant. You can only pick 2. A 25% raise, a company car, no co-workers, a 4-day work week, or personal assistant.
I'll take the first one for me.
First one for sure. You have one more.
All I want is money. All I want
This guy, bring my
Got to be about 20, no co-workers. My co-workers don't have any.
So you have 25% raise, and what was the other
that's
one?
enough.
You have to choose 2. You have to choose. You have to
I
choose.
didn't hear the raise. I just said the raise.
25% raise, a company car, no co-workers, a 4-day work week, and a personal assistant.
I'll take the 25% raise
Yep.
and the 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Those two go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's for me.
It was between the 25% for
And the
sure,
car?
or either the personal assistant or the 4-day. But I'll go for I'll more lean towards the 4-day working and the 25%.
Yes.
So you go for the 25% and the 40.
Yeah.
How about you?
So you don't want a company car?
No.
But I have my own. Why
No,
not?
yeah, you get rid of that and yada
No,
yada.
I don't want to be on my own line with the company car. Sometimes
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
everybody have to know. No. I don't want no company car. I drive my own.
Okay.
I drive my own. Give me my 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, less time,
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah, we
Less
will. Yeah.
time, more money. What?
Surya says no co-workers and a 4-day work week. Yeah. No co-workers and a 4-day work week. Boy, Surya.
I don't think I'll be able to think with no co-workers. I like people. I'm a people.
For real?
Okay. I'm a people person.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Those I
Boy.
could already. I could always.
You
Mentally-
go work it out.
Yes.
Yeah. You go manage.
Yeah.
You go manage.
Mentally, yeah.
But then, I would like my co-workers.
I feel like I would have to go with the 25% raise for sure. That one has to be picked. My gosh. And I have to choose the 4-day work week, you know. Because the no co-workers thing, it depends on what you do for a living. You know, because...
Well, I know what I'm going to do for a living. Will I don't, you know, to me, I cannot see myself doing a job for a living where...
Oh, they have some jobs where you want people
you
don't want
anybody around.
Yeah.
In entertainment, we always have people around.
That's I say it depends on what you do for a living.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, I'll go. We agree on that. 28% raise and the 4-day work week. One other thing here. Surya says co-workers slow down the work day.
Yeah.
I hope you're because they always talking. Because they always talking. Yeah. They always in your head talking papi shit. EJ and QQ. I spoke to 100 females, and I asked. I said, "You're a female, but what do you hate wearing?" EJ, what do you think the overwhelming number one response that women hate to wear? And any and everything. I'm talking about like from hair stuff to makeup to clothes to shoes. What do you think the number one thing that women hate to wear, buddy?
I think it's bras.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it doesn't be bras.
Number 2, the underwear.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. No, I don't know about the underwear. No. You lie. For real? I didn't realize that.
What would you think would come after bra?
Some women said heels.
Oh, well,
some women said heels.
I personally do not just hate wear it. I don't wear heels. It's not like I hate it. I just don't wear it, period.
Yeah, but if you are to wear it, well.
I wouldn't. I hate it.
Okay, right. So, the most said heels next, and crazily, not very many said underwear. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know.
Yes, I didn't know that was a thing.
Maybe
And a few men chimed in, and a few men said accountability. The women hate to wear accountability. Whatever. But. What is the thing about the bra, QQ? Like the bra?
I don't know. And you'll be surprised whether it's pitons, whether it's lalabat. They just.
What is the thing about the? Because that's like underwear. You see the same thing? You see the same thing? I got to deal with you, you know.
We just don't want it.
But why? Because that thing has invented so long ago.
I don't know. It's just that's something that women just, especially when you get home, the first thing you want to do
is remove it.
Free up the buns.
That's freedom.
At least for me, like it's my shoes. I take off my shoes, and I feel like, ooh, yeah. Oh, you know what I just found out about women too, EJ? You know, as a man, you have your car, you have your rims, and one goes flat. You know how it feels when you have a donut on your thing, right?
Yeah.
You know the equivalent for a woman is their nail. When one of their nails they feel horrible. Yes,
they feel like missing.
Because a man feels terrible with the donut on his car. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
And that's the equivalent to how a woman would feel if her nail is broken. You know? Yeah, man.
Let's see what they say.
The first thing to come off is the bra. As soon as you get home, is the bra. I don't get it. I don't get it because that was invented since the 1800s.
No matter how big, no matter how small, the bra just have to come out.
The bra. And QQ very descriptive. Don't matter if it's pitons or lalabat.
No, it don't matter. It don't matter what it is. You just have to freeze up. Just let it go.
I have buns and everything. I never have a lalabat.
They have women who are not,
well endowed. Yes.
Smaller than,
For sure. Yeah, man.
So it doesn't matter, especially those. They don't. You think they would want to keep it on, but no. Regardless of the size, they would just want to remove it.
All right, folks. What is it? 8:23. We'll take a short break. When we return, 8:30, we go into the Situation Room. And for those who don't know, our guest today inside the Situation Room is former Prime Minister, Mr. Alan Chastanet. Boy. Well, we'll take a break. He came on a good day. I like it. Back in a little bit. This is Power 97.9 FM.
I'll allow my shit to get blessed.
This is Sidale, and right now you're tuned into Power 97.9 FM. Don't know. Don't touch that dial. Keep it locked in.
M&C Home Depot Vite Boutte will be closed for renovations beginning Sunday, July 14th. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause as we work to improve the look and feel of our store for you, our valued customers. Get ready for a fantastic new shopping experience.
There
Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus take charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
The new home of the best country music is Power 97.9 FM.
Say the stars are bound to fade.
Switch us on Join Me, DJ Jerry, this and every Thursday from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold, the best in country music.
Your bags are packed and waiting.
The new, the oldies, and the goldies. So let's make it a date. This and every Thursday with me, DJ Jerry, from 8 p.m. till midnight for Country Gold. If it's Thursday, it's Country Gold Thursday. Country Gold, only on Power 97.9 FM.
I lead a rich, rewarding life. But why?
Ouais, messieurs. Aujourd'hui, moi la KSP plein bon glow. Si t'es dans pani pressure. Moi ni tongue, moi ni glow, mais money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pomme. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller ko Europa. You need tout pomme pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. You need pli mer pour pomme cette ici. You ka ranger pomme aussi qui besoin service. Brand pump yo c'est Léo. Pump ça c'est major. Ils bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moi actuellement. Glow ka Fonte. Europa ni pomme glow Léo en de couleur neuf, orange et gris. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452 0763.
Broadcasting island-wide on one frequency. Power 97.9 FM. Enter the Situation Room. Weekdays from 8:30 a.m. Let's chit-chat a bit. Hard talk. The trending topics. Have your say and enter the Situation Room. Weekdays from 8:30 a.m. on Power 97.9 FM.
This is Power 97.9 FM, the new number one, Big Slim EJ, the DJ QQ. She is here, the Energy Empress, folks, and we are in the Situation Room. The topic of discussion today, y'all, some 3 years out of government. What is going on with the UWP? The United Workers' Party has been out of government for some 3 years after it was booted out by the St. Lucia Labour Party, who won the July 26th, 2021 election by a landslide. 3 years later, what exactly is the opposition, UWP, doing to gain the trust of the populace? Meanwhile, in celebrating its recent 3 years in office, the SLP government boasted of its record economic growth among many other accomplishments. However, the opposition, UWP, would maybe beg to differ, as they have constantly argued about poor management of the country as well as crime management, the CIP, the 2.5% levy, and several other matters. And so today, we will have a conversation with the former Prime Minister and the political leader of the United Workers' Party, Alan Chastanet, as he has decided to join us in the Situation Room. And so today we discuss some 3 years out of government. What is going on with the UWP? Former PM Mr. That's you? Joining us for the first time on the threesome in the morning. Can we welcome to the show Mr. Alan Chastanet? Good morning to you, sir.
Great to be here.
Nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Nice. You arranged some special sunshine for me this morning.
Yes. Quickly, everyone, as you know, everyone in St. Lucia, they always have a nickname for various MPs or politicians and so forth. They call you Uncle Shas.
Yeah.
That's what the majority, seem to call Uncle Shas.
Uncle Shas.
You okay with that? You like that? You like Uncle Shas? Is that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Because I always see it around, floating around.
We all got to age at some time.
they say Uncle Shas. All right, good. Well, we will talk a wide variety of things. We're going to talk CIP, of course. We're going to talk crime a little bit. I know QQ is going to have, we're going to talk political ambitions. QQ has, a set of questions that she's going to ask just the same. But something, I asked the listeners to chime in with their fair share of questions. Something that I got a lot of. Currently, you're all over the place. You various communities. You're taking pictures. You're checking the people out and so forth, and you're posting it and these things. What do you say to the people who say, if and when you get reelected, that side of you disappears? Like you're no longer in the communities. You're no longer taking pictures. You're no longer going and saying hi and checking on people. What do you say to those people who say, why, if and when you get reelected, why does that disappear? Why do you not do or give that same attention to the various communities that you're doing, like what you're doing now?
Yeah, so the great thing here is that I'm not an unknown quantity. So I was Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So while I was Prime Minister, I'd like to think that I did exactly those things. I'm not a person that I'm a desk person.
Okay.
Right? I think that as a role of Prime Minister, our job was to create a plan and a strategy and to make sure that those things are getting done. There was a little trick that I learned from Sir John. Sir John never asked a question that he didn't know what the answer was.
Okay.
So when he would look at what was coming up at Cabinet and programs and projects to be approved, everybody thought he was hiding out in Maho, right? And he was actually going on those sites.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, like during COVID, I went and visited every healthcare center that was, a command center.
Yeah.
I went to the hospitals, and I went and visited the fire stations, and I went to see for myself what persons were going through. And by doing that, you become much more informed. And a lot of people actually know more about what's taking place. And I give you a classic example. When I became Prime Minister, I went to Victoria Hospital, right? In less than a half a day, here's what I found out. I met with a lady who was doing the accounts, registration, right? And I saw at her foot this big box with all these receipts.
Yeah.
So I said to her, I said, wow, you had all those people in one day? And she started to laugh. She said, no, Mrs. Chastanet, she goes, they come and collect the receipts on a quarterly basis. Now, from an accounting perspective, that's pretty bad. It means you're reconciling your accounts afterwards.
Right.
Then I walked to the back, and they had these 2 young guys typing away. So what are y'all doing? So we're taking the registration forms and we're entering them into digitally. So when I take the registration form, 90% of what's being asked in the registration form was already on your ID.
Okay.
And your ID has a barcode. So why is it we're not just zapping the barcode of your ID and populate the information, and the only new information that's being put on is your unique ID number while you're in the hospital? Okay. I continued walking over and went into the lab, and the lab had all this equipment in it, old equipment, right? I said, why is all this stuff here, right? So there's a special department that you have to make applications to in government to get rid of assets, right? And it wasn't working. So they couldn't move the stuff, so you'd had an old air conditioner next to a new air conditioner, occupying space. There was this liquid reagent, it's called. And reagent became very famous during COVID, right? Because it's what's used to do the testing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I actually come in contact with that term early in the day, and the lady kept on saying, well, we're going through reagent like crazy here. So why? So because what happens, we keep running out of it. We order it, it comes in through FedEx. It then goes to the warehouse in BZ, and they don't put it in the proper temperature control, and half of it's getting spoiled. Now, your accounting system is supposed to pick up that, because if you put a budget in, and you're going to use X number of dollars for reagent, right, and you're using 2-3 times the amount, it tells you that something's wrong, and once you identify what's wrong, you're supposed to fix it. And I remember the classic one was I went to meet this amazing lady in the back of the hospital, and she was managing the blood bank, right? And I got there, and she had this old-time computer on her desk. I said, sweetheart, they can't get you a new computer. She goes, no, I can't use a new computer. I said, why not? She goes, because we're still using an old Microsoft program. Remember the old floppy disk?
Yep.
Right? I'm going, how does that happen? Right? And what I start realizing with our health system, just from that one experience, plus now other experiences that I had,
right,
was we've never had a new operating system for our hospital. And you also have to think of the psychology of it, is that the CEO of our hospital really is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Health. Okay?
Okay, because that's who facilitates.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have now bureaucracy trying to run an operation, and they're not on the front line. So when stuff happens, you never think of the PS.
Right.
Okay? And let's compare that now to St. Jude's. St. Jude's was always a privately run hospital, and in 2000, Mercy Hospital was brought in and put a proper operating system. So when you go down, even at the stadium, there's a file system, okay? There's a process for applications, and even when it comes to payment, when people can't pay cash, people pay in kind. So they bring food, they pay in services, and they're making sure they're collecting the money. At Victoria, nobody's collecting any money. Okay, they're just not in the habit. There's nobody was being held accountable for anything. There was no systems of accountability. So even when you go into the hospital, you have your unique file number. how is it when I came into government in 2016, they didn't have it on electronically. Now, in the case of St. Jude's, they don't have it electronically, but there's a proper paper trail so that you can see. And they're also in the habit of processing the insurance applications. Okay? You only find those things out when you go. It's like when I went down to the fast ferry, right? So you have a fast ferry coming across in hour and 20 minutes, across from Martinique, hour and 30 minutes, okay? The boat arrives, nobody's allowed to get off the boat. Okay? They have to wait for all the bags to be offloaded. You're laughing because you've been through it, right? They have to wait for all the bags
I've never done it,
offloaded and go into the customs hall. And then they allow you to go through. Okay? And when you finish immigration, you can't get your bag. You have to wait until everybody clears, then you can get your bag. I sit there and go, what the? I said, can somebody explain this to me? Well, people were stealing the bags. So what they did was hold everybody back up, right? Then they had people who couldn't clear customs because they had to pay cash. There was no ATM machine in the building. So people have to leave their stuff, walk into town, go get cash, and walk back. So the problem with government never looks at things from the perspective of the customer. Government is always looking at it from an accounting perspective, okay? And when everybody wants to hide from being held accountable, they give you the rules.
Right.
Okay? But we're not in the habit of changing the rules if they're not making any sense. I'd give you another one. These are little things I laugh at every day, right? How many accidents do you believe that we have at the VG roundabout on average a week?
Well, I can't even guess. I mean, I know I see my fair share. I mean,
if you had to guess a number, and there's no accurate number. Okay, can we say 2 or 3?
Maybe 3. Yeah.
Right? And yet the police go and measure the VG roundabout every time, as if what the size has changed. What is that? And this thing they're going to take the spray paint and put where the wheels are. We've got cameras. Why can't people take a photograph? Now, I don't want you to believe I'm thinking of these ideas after the fact. The system is so fixed, so rigid, that even when you identify these problems, trying to get them resolved is a difficulty. Right? But we need to resolve these issues because this is a waste of time, a waste of resources, it's inefficient.
Okay.
Right? So I am a person, the answer to your, very long answer to your question is, I am a people's person. Okay? I'm always out, and I'm out to hopefully hear ideas from people, but also to learn. And every day that I'm out meeting people and talking to people, I get a perspective that I myself may not have seen because it's not affecting me.
Right.
Right? And so that will never change because that's part of Alan Chastanet's DNA.
I like it. Thank you. Again, if we just move on quite quickly, what is new with the UWP? What's new with y'all?
Confidence.
Okay.
Right? So after the elections, internal evaluations, and move on very quickly, make those adjustments. We're in the process of making final selections for candidates. We're reviewing our policies. We've understood what we thought we were doing well, how they may have been misinterpreted, and how do we resolve those problems moving forward.
Because, of course, you thought you were doing well before the elections, and the elections happened.
Yeah, COVID changed everything.
Okay.
Remember, COVID, you couldn't interact with people as much.
Okay.
Right? And it was very difficult to get the necessary feedback. Clearly, we thought on the performance of the government that we had done well. And all the numbers were there.
Yeah.
We handled COVID better than any other country in the world. For the first 6 months, there was no deaths. It was not until the Labour Party went and did their march that we had our first major outbreak. And then you had Christmas, where everybody said, they're going out to enjoy Christmas. They're going to have their pudding. And we saw a significant rise in cases. And by the time we left government in 2021, sadly, 88 people had died. The new government came in, changed all the protocols. I don't think they paid as much attention to it, and 400 people died in the next year and a half, right? When we look at the return of the economy, when there were persons saying that tourism would not come back, we knew that tourism wouldn't come back immediately, but we knew that with the world being shut down and the planes had nowhere to go, that if we could reopen, it would give us a foothold in those markets. So the big one being the U.S. market. So what have we seen as a result of that? That the U.S. arrivals pre-2019, okay, are up almost double to what they were before. And that's because of the leapfrog that we made, the quantum leap that we made in the U.S. market during that period of time. So we thought that we had done well enough. Persons tried to make it out to believe that the United Workers' Party was devastated. It's not true. 50% of the people came out to vote in that election, 50%. And of that 50%, 50% of those people voted for the Labour Party. And 42% of the people voted for United Workers' Party. And 6% of the people voted for the two independents.
Right.
Okay? With 50% of the vote, the Labour Party got 13 seats, which is 77% of the seats. United Workers' Party with 42% of the vote got 11% of the seats. And the two independents with 6% of the vote got 11% of the seats, the two seats.
So how did you come up with the 50% of the people that came out? How did you get that figure?
Because we know how many people are registered to vote. We know how many people came out to vote.
So you're going on the basis that is accurate, like that how many people are registered is like an accurate figure.
I don't think it is. Yeah. Everybody thinks that number is a little bit inflated.
Right.
But it's the number that we have to go by.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So in essence, of the people who are eligible to vote in St. Lucia, 180,000 people, only 25% of those people voted for Labour. 21% of the people voted for United Workers' Party.
Okay.
Okay? And then when you take it on a seat-by-seat basis, right, we clearly understand what happened during the last election. So did COVID contribute? COVID contributed. Did a really successful campaign, and you have to hand it to the opposition. Did that work? And it created doubt in many people's minds. So that's what, in my mind, is a lot of our own supporters did not come out to vote. And in speaking to them, it was that some people were overconfident. United Workers' Party was going to win. I didn't need to come out. There were persons who were disgruntled, felt they didn't get enough, they didn't do this, they didn't come out to vote. And then there were persons, particularly when Stephenson King went to become an independent person, started to believe some of the stories. Okay? So it's a combination of those different things. I can't tell you exactly what percentage of each one of those things they are, but that's really what the combination of the issues are. So the party has had to now say, okay, if this situation were ever to happen again, how would we handle the situation? And even more importantly, communications. I thought that we were doing a pretty good job. We brought the media off the street, so bringing the media into the Prime Minister's office to do weekly press conferences. We had magazines coming out. We were doing, you call it pocket news.
Yep.
We were doing a lot of different things. But I think that what we never sufficiently did was to determine whether in fact people were reading and understanding the information. And I think that that's the next level we have to go to. So the party is in great shape. We're very excited, very enthusiastic.
Okay.
We feel that after 3 years of the Labour Party being in government, that we've been redeemed. So a lot of persons now are looking at policies very differently than they had before. And they now can make a very fair comparison between two governments.
So with you saying that we're redeemed, if we had to rate this government, let's say 1 through 5, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, how would you rate this government's performance, and why would you rate them there?
So let's take it. Health. A letter just came out from the doctors that have basically said that healthcare in this country has never been worse in the last 20 years. Never been this bad. And made some very damning allegations about what's taking place at OKEU. The lack of medicine, the lack of resources, not an insufficient number of beds, okay? And people are resigning every day from being up there. So it's a catastrophe. we've seen a worsening situation at St. Jude's at the stadium, not an improvement. Okay? So when you hear stories like persons that the hospital didn't even have water, so I had to go to the car to get my bottle of water to be able to take my prescription, you don't want to believe that, right? But that's what's happening. So healthcare is a disaster. The promise of universal healthcare in comparison to healthcare insurance, a lot of people don't understand what the difference is. And this new government came in, when they came in, they talked about universal health care, and they said they're going to give people over 80, they're going to give women, etc., right? It's a very small percentage of the people. And then the question is, are they even delivering on that? Because I have people in my constituency over the age of 80 who said, none of that's working. And even if it was going to be free, how do I react to when I can't even get Panadol at the hospital? So where are we going? And then when people are given a prescription, they can't even afford to buy the prescription, right? So healthcare, a disaster. Agriculture, no more banana exports, right? Production of bananas down substantially. The Chamber of Commerce now has talked about negotiations taking place at CARICOM, which is significantly impacting the price of inputs. We saw what happened with the banana boxes. And so banana production by the Social and Economic Review is at one of its lowest levels at pretty much every single product that there is to have. So agriculture is failing. Then we go to crime. We've had 2 years back-to-back of 75 homicides. We were measuring 10 measurements: house break-ins, armed offenses, harassment, etc. And we had shown over our period of time a substantial decline in all of those numbers. The government doesn't even measure those things. We're now measuring it simply by homicides, which is not a good enough number. But even in the number of homicides, we've had 2 years back-to-back of 75 homicides. And we're at 50 already in August. And what's making the situation worse is nobody has any answers. Nobody has any confidence in what's going on. We see major conflicts taking place at the hierarchy of the police force between the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, a significant investigation pending with that person, with the deputy commissioner. We've had 4 ministers in charge of security, and one of them now is crime prevention. We don't hear from anybody. I mean, I just had a situation in my own constituency of this 13-year-old boy who was shot, Mello. And what I started realizing is that we've gotten into a pattern of behavior. An article comes out to say a person was shot in their community at such and such hour. The ambulance came and picked them up, and either they died there, or they died on the way, or they died in the hospital. Okay? No other information. And it's almost now we've gotten into believing that everybody who's involved in some kind of gun shooting was involved in a gang, both persons. Then there's, a couple days later, there's an article that comes out that says the police can confirm that this was a 13-year-old boy, and they'll give you his name, and maybe some little circumstances behind it, and it says, and anybody who has any information, if you could please provide it. After that happens, nothing. Now, what is even more disturbing to me is that the protocols within the police to deal with crime, and more importantly, the victims. So just imagine for a moment. The ambulance persons come at 1 o'clock in the morning. Took them over an hour and a half to get there to the site. So you're dealing with a mother who has 3 young daughters who were locked in the room while this took place. Came out and found their dead brother. They're sitting there waiting with the brother. Dead. Okay? The trauma. After they take the body, nobody asked any questions. They were left on their own. Are they to remain in the house? Nobody asked a question.
Very scary situation.
Okay? So they went to their neighbor's house, family. The following day, the mother and the daughter were then asked to go, and they spent over 6 hours giving a statement with the police. Meanwhile, the other 2 daughters are remaining home alone. Then when they come back, what's happening? Was a psychologist sent there to do an interview with the victims? Did anybody ask whether the mother has any food? How she feels? Nothing. And so in our whole system, the victims are lost. As if it's only the person who got shot and died, they're gone. What about the family members and the neighborhood where this crime had taken place? And I can go on and on about crime. So in the case of crime, we are failing miserably. Then we talk about the number one thing that's affecting people in this country is the cost of living. So we came out of a situation of COVID where the economy contracted. You hadn't even gotten out of COVID, and all of a sudden now there was a global increase in inflation of prices. What does our government do? Our government comes and tells us they're going to introduce a 2.5% levy for health and security. Everybody said this is a bad idea. The Prime Minister looked everybody in the eye and said, I want you to make this sacrifice, because this is for healthcare and for security. And I've already told you what the state of healthcare and security is. Unwillingly, people went along, to only find out that that was a lie. That the tax was brought in order for the government to get a $200 million loan from CDB and from the World Bank. That people felt betrayed by all of this. $1 used to buy you 4 loaves of bread. Today, $1 buys you 2. Okay? $1 doesn't carry you as far with your bus fare. $1 doesn't carry you as far with your cable bill. $1 doesn't carry you as far as your utility bill. And in the cable and the internet, the quality, the price has gone up and the quality has gone down. So you're substantially worse off than you were before with all those different things. So in the state of the economy, we're failing. People are suffering under this government. So I can get into a whole bunch of other issues, but I would just say to you, those core ones, healthcare, agriculture,
crime,
cost of living, security, this government is failing dismally on what they promised the people of the country.
We do have to take a break for the news, but just a quick thing, just in regards to crime and even the cost of living and security. You made mention of, let's just take a quick excerpt, the how the stories are written, and you don't get much information thereafter. You might get the name, et cetera, et cetera. Has it not always been how it is or how it was, even prior to the last 3 years?
No.
Okay, no. Fair enough. With the economy, the cost of living, you just made mention, you said $1 would buy 4 loaves of bread. Now it can get you 2. I guess just with inflation or whatever it may be, I always hear stories of my uncles, my mom telling me how much cheaper things were when they were, like, isn't that just the natural progression?
It ought not to, because you have to understand your economy. We are an economy that imports inflation.
Okay.
And there are critical things that the government can control. The government controls the price of gas.
Right.
Okay? The price of gas affects the price of bus fares. The price of flour affects the price of bread.
Yeah.
So the government has for the longest time been subsidizing those things.
Yeah.
This government decided not to do that. So we capped the price of gas at $13.95, even though the global price was going higher. Because we knew that once you start allowing that price to go much higher, it has a carry-on effect to a whole bunch of other items in St. Lucia. We felt that in this particular case, like in other situations, inflation is temporary. Look, the world is getting inflation under control. So it means you can go back to a more normal system. Who should absorb that cost? And we kept on saying the balance sheets of small businesses and the balance sheets of individuals are not capable of carrying that extra weight. And it's going to create too much disruption. So right now, the 2.5% tax, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Small businesses are closing because the cost of running the business is too high. The business community and the small businesses are now saying they embrace minimum wage. It's a great concept. but the timing and how much it's going to be and the flexibility within it is going to be a determinant. So if you're going to tell people they have to do this, and so therefore there would be unlawful for them to pay somebody less money, then what choice do they have but to shut down the company? And guess what happens? The people feel the pain.
Yeah.
Is the economy strong enough right now? And that's not my words, and I want to make that very clear. That's not what the United Workers' Party's position is. But that's what the feedback that's coming from the business community and from small business people. So it may be well intended, but it may have a very different impact on people.
Folks, you're hearing the voice of former Prime Minister Mr. Alan Chastanet. He is in the Situation Room with us talking what's new with the UWP. You know, what are they doing differently? Will they regain the trust of the people of St. Lucia? More to come in just a little bit. Let me break for your Power News on the Hour, which is brought to you by Digicel. Better Together and Bank of St. Lucia. All the bank you need.
Introducing Digicel's all-new prepaid Prime Ultra bundles that give you more value for your money. Packed with more end-use data than ever before, which rolls over once you auto-renew. Enjoy endless social data to text on Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Entertainment data for the apps you love: Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, endless Digicel to Digicel calls on all bundles. Minutes for other local calls and regional and international minutes on the 5-day Prime Ultra bundle or higher. You never miss a beat. Activate a Digicel Prime Ultra bundle today in the My Digicel app for as low as $6.99. Digicel, better connected to the best LTE network.
Dream big, make it your own. Home Sweet gets you any style of home. Be yourself saying home sweet home with a home sweet mortgage. You are number one. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Act now when you won't regret it. POSL. Bank of St. Lucia's enhanced Home Sweet mortgages are designed around you. Home Flex, a home equity line of credit. Home Quest, for professionals building new dreams. And Home Switch, time to bring your mortgage home to us. Home Sweet mortgages, make it your own. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. POSL. For more information, call 456-6999 or go to bankofstlucia.com. POSL.
This is Power News. Your news now.
Good morning, folks. I am Marlon Amab with your Power News in 97 seconds, brought to you by Digicel. Better Together and Bank of St. Lucia. All the bank you need. Folks, trending at this time, Miss Power 97.9 FM, Janiqua Cleary is the new Miss Teen St. Lucia, emerging victorious after competing against 7 young ladies. The title was bestowed upon her last evening at the National Cultural Center. Miss Cleary also received the awards for Best Costume, Best in Evening Wear, and Best Promotional Speech. We at Power 97.9 FM salute her and wish her the very best. In the UK, Downing Street has confirmed there will be an emergency response meeting on Monday after more than 150 people were arrested following violent disorder in UK towns and cities over the weekend. It comes after Sir Keir Starmer condemned an attack on a hotel housing asylum seekers in Rotherham, and promised those involved in unrest would face the full force of the law. Police responded to violent scenes in Rotherham, Middlesbrough, and Bolton, and other parts of the UK on Sunday. The meeting comes after a 6th day of escalating violence following the fatal stabbing of 3 young girls in Southport last week. And that, folks, was your Power News in 97 seconds, brought to you by Digicel. Better Together and Bank of St. Lucia. All the bank you need. I am Marlon Amab. Good morning.
Power News. Your news now.
Introducing Digicel's all-new prepaid Prime Ultra bundles that give you more value for your money. Packed with more end-use data than ever before, which rolls over once you auto-renew. Enjoy endless social data to text on Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Entertainment data for the apps you love: Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, endless Digicel Digicel calls on all bundles, minutes for other local calls, and regional and international minutes on the 5-day Prime Ultra bundle or higher. You never miss a beat. Activate a Digicel Prime Ultra bundle today in the My Digicel app for as low as $6.99. Digicel, better connected to the best LTE network.
Dream big, make it your own. Home Sweet gets you any style of home. Be your start saying home sweet home with a home sweet mortgage. You are number one. Home Sweet, home quest, home flex, home switch. Need a new home, we get it. Home Sweet, home quest, home flex, home switch. Act now when you won't regret it. POSL. Bankers and Lucius enhanced home sweet mortgages are designed around you. Home Flex, a home equity line of credit. Home Quest for professionals building new dreams. And Home Switch, time to bring your mortgage home to us. Home Sweet Mortgages, make it your own. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. POSL. For more info, dream big, make it your own. Home Sweet gets you any style of home. Be your start saying home sweet home with a home sweet mortgage. You are number one. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Act now when you won't regret it. POSL. Bankers and Lucius enhanced home sweet mortgages are designed around you. Home Flex, a home equity line of credit. Home Quest for professionals building new dreams. And Home Switch, time to bring your mortgage home to us. Home Sweet Mortgages, make it your own. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. POSL. For more information, call 456-6999 or go to bankofstlucia.com. POSL.
Power to the people. Power 97.9 FM.
Oh, yes, guys, so we are back in the Situation Room. For those of you just joining in, we're sitting here with Mr. Alan Chastanet, the former Prime Minister. Of St. Lucia, just a year into my thing. Yeah.
I'm supporting you. I'm supporting you.
Now you know I feel like in Parliament. You know?
I'm supporting you.
I sit quietly, listen to them speak, and then when I get to speak, they interrupt.
No, that's support.
I'm gonna
I sat quietly, allow him to speak, and now I say,
I'm just supporting my girl.
So those of you just joining in, this is what's happening on in the Situation Room. And for those who would like to share a comment or maybe call, our lines, our studio lines are 4522979, WhatsApp number 7299979, and you can always share your views and opinion on our Facebook platform as well. I see we do have quite a few there. Just intensely listen to your contribution here in the Situation Room, telling us giving us your views and your opinions on where the government is lacking. Just to mention, 3 years have gone by, and they recently celebrated their anniversary. And you pointed out quite a few places where they really, where you believe they're really lacking and can use some improvement. Are there anything that you can say that you can rate them on a level where they're doing something that is actually working for the country right now?
So when they first came into office, and the tourism industry was on the rise, they took it for granted. And what happened was they did not negotiate properly with the airlines. And in 2023, last summer in particular, the 2 American flights were cut to 1. And there was a significant reduction in the number of seats. So I think that they learned from that very quickly, and they did a much better job this summer or this year. So the American flight, the second flight's back. We had for the first time a JetBlue flight that came in, left New York at like 5:30 in the afternoon, got here 10:30 at night, and then turned around and went back. Okay, so during the carnival period, that was a big reprieve, and I think that really helped a lot. What they're not doing in tourism is that the money that we were spending, about $7 million US a year, on advertising, they've cut that back significantly, and I think they've put that money, from what I can see, into events, right? Events are very sexy in St. Lucia, and everybody gets all very excited.
Yes.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're very expensive. And so you have to ask yourself, are you getting your money's worth? I let them go through their own evaluation. So I think that that's something that they definitely did that's good, and they turned that around and I'm very happy to see that.
Look at that. I like that. Yes.
We are seeing that the lack of advertising, and now that there's a very strange phenomenon that's taking place in the world. Most people thought when interest rates were going to go up, right, because of inflation, to fight inflation, that there would have been a recession. So everybody thought, oh, is this going to be a hard landing? Is this going to be a soft landing? And here we are almost a year and a half later, and nobody can quite figure it out. So the macroeconomic indicators, unemployment, economic growth, all look good, but their consumers are spending less, right? And it means that we're now having to fight more to get tourists to come here, which means the advertising is very, very critical in that. So I want to say I'm hoping that the government will make that level of adjustment.
Just to let me follow up on what you just said there. You said, it's sexy, the events and these things are sexy, and these are not, you can't tangibly quantify that energy, right? Like the sexiness.
Yes.
But you don't think it matters?
So you would appreciate I started the Central Jazz Festival.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yeah. Did you know
that? The what?
The St. Lucia Jazz Festival.
Okay, yes. Right.
And it started off as pure jazz.
Right.
Okay? The problem is, Pigeon Island is the best venue, I think, in the world. Okay?
Yeah.
But acoustic music, jazz music, doesn't come across well in an open space like that. Okay? So the first jazz musician, if you want to call him that, was George Benson.
Yeah.
Right? And when we put him on, all of a sudden, boy, the place came alive. And then you had Santana, and then you had UB40, and then it quickly went away from being, it was still called a jazz festival, but it was no longer a jazz festival. It was a music festival. But look, Montreal Jazz went through the same thing. Montreux Jazz went through the same thing, evolution. And then people in St. Lucia every year, I want to see who's the next big artist that you're going to get. Right? We were able to justify that in the early days because we were on TV. So it means even though we were selling out here and there was no more tickets to sell,
we had BT.
We were getting TV exposure.
Right.
Okay, and it became more and more popular. Once you lost the BET exposure and you were no longer on BET TV, right, and you had nothing to replace it with, now all of a sudden a big win of having these major artists is lost.
Okay.
And so you have to ask yourself the question, the event itself has to make money. So let's look at artists. I'm sure you're familiar with artists. Artists now have lost a significant revenue source from selling records.
Right.
Okay? So they've now gone back to concerts. But concerts take time, and there's only X number of concerts you can do in any 1 year. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay? So with musical festivals, it's the same thing. We only have X number of hotel rooms that you can sell. You can't sell the same hotel room 3 and 4 times over. So that's the maximum of what you can potentially do. So yes, you want to be able to create exposure locally, right? And for people to have a good time. But at the same time, you have to say, how much is that costing me? And is it better to put the money in healthcare? Is it better to put the money in education? Is it better to do something else with my artist, right? So you have to be very careful what you did. So that's why what we did is we ended up creating what everybody now knows as Soleil Festival. But Soleil Festival really was a summer festival. So what it did, it took the genres of music that were in jazz, the reggae, the soca, the romantic, soulful music, and broke them out now. And at each month we did a mini festival. Why? Because each mini festival in its own could sell 1,500 hotel rooms, because that's all you really needed. Now, a guy who's renting a car in St. Lucia can only rent his car once during jazz.
Yeah.
But if you now have a summer festival, he can rent his car, bless you, he can rent his car multiple times during the summer. So it's about expanding where you can see a return on your investment. Going to Carnival, big benefit to Carnival because Carnival is our culture. So the goal really is to create a platform for our artists that during the year they can get jobs now in Trinidad, they can get jobs in New York, they can get jobs in London, and that our music is now being played on the diaspora shows. And there's always that possibility that a soca song crosses over.
Yeah.
Hot, hot, hot. Who let the dogs out? Not great examples of artistic music, but they crossed over.
Yeah. So you don't see jazz and carnival as a good form of marketing in terms of tourism, because this year has been considered the biggest year in carnival and even jazz. And this year has seemed to be a remarkable year, because look, now we recently had, in terms of marketing and putting St. Lucia out there, I saw quite a few, before I get into Julian, in terms of the marketing, they had a few celebrities. I know it was something that has been done from the time of your administration, as a matter of fact. But everyone seems to think or see it's something that is growing. So we see in growth in terms of marketing, the marketing aspect. And with Julian Alfred now, putting us on a even bigger map, like, putting that stamp out there for our name, don't you think that it's going to create that wave that we've been trying to create for the longest while in terms of tourism?
So a lot of questions wrapped up on very different issues.
Yeah.
And the use of adjectives. The best ever.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Okay? So I would say to you, most people you speak to will tell you that Carnival in 2019 was massive, and that the expectation of what
That's where it started.
Yeah. And the expectation of what we were going to have in 2020. So when you say that I don't believe in Carnival, I'm the person in 2016 that took the Carnival budget from $100,000 to $1 million. And I'm the person who said when we did Soleil, right, and everybody was criticizing downsizing the jazz, was to make Carnival bigger. Why? Because it's our genre of music. So I'm a huge believer in that. And it ties into village tourism. I'm not going to call it community tourism because nothing has happened. They just changed the name, but they've never really understood what the concept was. So the goal was to take our festivals and to decentralize it so that it was no longer in one location, Rodney Bay. Right? The next big festival that's on the verge is Jeune Creole.
Yeah.
Okay? And that needs to become much bigger. And so this idea, it's not going to become bigger if every year that you're moving it around to these three little communities. Okay? It needs to be everywhere in the South. So you need to go like on a tour. You get in your truck or your car and you drive down from Anseray and you go right around the Horn, I call it. And each time you're getting a different vibe of Jeune Creole.
Yeah.
And View Fort, where we were doing it, was kind of like a cross place to fertilize it, but create it now into a week-long or 2-week-long festival. And again, it is about promoting our own music and our own culture. So I'd much rather see that than spending $1 million on an American artist. I'm not sure that we're going to get a return on that level of investment unless we're able to get TV with it. Okay? So the marketing, the Jazz Festival was marketed where? In the region.
You think it was only marketed?
It was only marketed in the region. I know that. Okay? Because in order to be able to successfully market the Jazz Festival internationally, the lineup has to be out already. At least a couple names, because it takes almost a year, a minimum 9 months. You can't come and announce the lineup in January, February with an event that's taking place in May. Okay, but that's just not going to work. That's going to work for Martinique, and that's going to work for Barbados, and that's going to work for Trinidad. That's not going to work for the U.S. People have to book
need
that
more time to
further in advance. And also, the airline tickets will go. By the time you start selling in February.
So maybe we're not prepared for more then, because if you're saying that the way it's being marketed is just for the region, and we're saying this year, it's been said that this year there were not enough rooms. There were not enough rooms, not enough accommodation.
That's not true. Okay.
We'll continue this.
Can I say, we have a call. I heard a number, right? They said there was 18,000 people that came for Carnival.
Right.
Okay. You go to the airport and you get the statistics of the airport.
Yeah.
In a 2-week period of Carnival, there was only 15,000 people that came in to the airport. So are you telling me every single person that came into the airport went to Carnival? So the persons who were honeymooners, other persons who had planned their trips, solutions who were coming home and would not have been for Carnival, that's not possible. Where did you see 18,000 people? Okay? And even when they talked about jazz, no venue did that. So you're telling me every single venue that you had were unique people. Okay? So the total number of ticket sales was being translated into how many people came to the country. Okay. That's not possible. So look, and again, I don't want to demean anything. Events, I'm a big believer in events. Okay? But there is a way of measuring an event and making sure that you're maximizing the return for your revelers, okay? Maximizing the return for the marketing of the destination, and maximizing the return on economic activity on the ground. So I'd like to see that St. Lucia does not normally do well. The Caribbean does not normally do well in the summertime because people go to Europe.
Yeah.
Because remember, Europe's closed for the winter.
Yeah.
And what does Europe have a lot of in the summertime? Festivals.
Festivals, yeah.
Okay, so we need to compete and make sure that we have a series of festivals to draw people to come, and at the same time that they're helping out solutions. Sorry.
We have a call. We have a call. After this call, we'll take a break.
I think we need to extend the show as well. We need to try to get permission because there's a lot to talk about, and we're getting quite a few calls and comments.
Power 97, you have a question, sir.
Oh, yes, I have a question for Mr. Chastanet. I want to ask Mr. Chastanet whether he's aware that the minimum wage and the health and security levy does not only affect the business sector across all industry, but affects government as well. For instance, when you take the total sales of any business, you deduct from it the cost of sales. If the cost of sales has been affected by the 2.5 levy, it means, therefore, that the cost of sales has automatically increased for all businesses across all sectors. And therefore, the gross profit for all businesses across all sectors would have been reduced. Now, if your gross profit has been reduced, and from that you have to deduct your expenses, if your expenses will now be increased with the minimum wage, increasing minimum wage, it means, therefore, that your net income has been reduced. And if your net income has been reduced, it means, therefore, that the taxation that government depends on has also been reduced. So I'm asking, do you believe that now is the best time for government to implement a minimum wage, vital as it is? Go ahead and answer me.
All right, thank you.
There is a lot of logic to what the person has just said.
A lot.
Okay, but there's an interim part. So initially, what did we see? When the tax came in, the question is, did the businesses pass on 100% of the increase to the consumer?
Right.
Or did they pass on more than 100%? Did some businesses use the opportunity to actually say, boy, I've been looking to have a price increase, I'm going to use the 2.5% as an excuse and increase it high. So I think that what we saw initially is that there was some of that because companies' profits in the first year actually looked better. So when you look at corporate income tax returns from the government, there was an increase. Now what the person is saying, the caller is saying, now it starts affecting because who's carrying that burden is the consumer. The consumer now is adjusting how much they're purchasing. So even though there's a higher price by the businesses, there's actually now going to be less consumption taking place.
Because of the higher price.
Right?
Yeah.
And therefore now the profitability of the company is going to come down. And what the caller is saying is happening. And that's what my concern is that the consumer, the individual citizen in this country, is being asked to carry that burden. And there has been no discrimination. The Prime Minister specifically said that there would be no increases in the price of food. The first entity to increase the prices was Kentucky Fried Chicken. And everybody goes to the grocery store and sees lentils as an example that started off at $2.50 and is now close to $5. And there's a whole bunch of other items that we can go to and look at that the prices have increased substantially. So people's quality of living has come down. And there's significant nutritional implications. There's significant economic implications. And a person who's poor already is being made even substantially poor because that $1 that used to buy 4 loaves of bread now is only buying 2. That's a fact. And that example exists with a lot of different things. The price of electricity has gone up. The price of bus fares have gone up. It is changing people's daily habits because they can't afford it, and it will have, to the caller's point of view, an impact on government because eventually the sales are going to slow down. People, both businesses and individuals, their profitability, the amount of money they're paying taxes on, will also be reduced.
You have any?
Yeah. And I can rapid fire these at you, and you could keep it as short as you possibly can because of time and so forth and so on. But you spoke about COVID earlier, and a question here, it says, as we on COVID, explain the $7 million for vaccines.
Sure. When COVID came, we couldn't even get ventilators. We had 2 IC units on the island. So when we opened up Victoria, we had to maneuver very quickly to compete against the rest of the world. I remember Governor Cuomo complaining that the state of New York was purchasing stuff, and by the time they would go to pay for it, the price was increasing and other countries were outbeating. So far less New York State compared to St. Lucia. The COVID vaccines came about because we were attempting to get vaccines. We wrote to the UK, we wrote to the Canadians, we wrote to the Americans, we wrote to the Europeans. We could not get vaccines, period. Now, my government's policy was never to enforce vaccines on anybody, but to give people the option of having a vaccine. And particularly those persons who were going to be tourism workers and we were reopening, some of them wanted to become vaccinated. When we went around trying to buy vaccines in the private sector, it turned around and the minimum purchase was $1 million, okay?
Okay.
And there were several different people and different companies that came to us that we evaluated and we didn't go with. A gentleman came from Barbados, and it indicated that he had gotten a source to get Pfizer vaccines, and he was getting 1 million vaccines. Barbados was going to buy 300,000. Bahamas was going to buy 300,000, and he wanted us to buy 300,000. I called up the Prime Minister of Barbados. I called up the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, who confirmed.
To verify this person.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. The person is a businessman from Barbados.
Okay.
Had done business here in St. Lucia. And all those things were positives, not negatives. They were positives because if anything went wrong, we knew where to find him.
Yeah.
Versus imagine using somebody who was in some country, foreign country around the world. Okay. We then sent him off to the Ministry of Health, who confirmed and got all the certifications from Pfizer. The Ministry of Finance then confirmed the contract. The Attorney General's office reviewed the contract. And then I was asked to sign what's called a direct award. A direct award is basically saying, given the circumstances and we have to move quickly, we're not going to go out to bid. Although that we had been in negotiations with several other people at the time. And the gentleman indicated because we were getting the 100,000, we had to pay the money up front. Okay? So we arranged, signed a contract, and the money was paid up front. It turned out that the entity that he was using, right, duped him. All of us. Right? Because we kept on getting reports that stuff is coming. We were getting the invoice numbers. We were all, checking. So he then could not get it, and we then asked for our money back. He gave us back half of the money and showed that the other half of the money is caught in the court case, and the court case is going on right now, right? So when I kind of like, I understand politics and that persons want to politicize this issue. There were all kinds of allegations that I was in bed with somebody here in St. Lucia who was a family member. Complete, total nonsense. That person didn't even know, because the person sells cement here, and the distributor for his cement in St. Lucia is my my wife's brother. Okay, he didn't even know that this was taking place. The gentleman had also recently bought the Shock property, so he has a property that he paid $7 million for. U.S. Okay, so when you're talking about trusting somebody, and I always knew that if in fact that he absconded or was turned out to be a bandito, that we could seize the property and recover our money. So I want solutions to know that this is just a ruse, and this is the type of politics the Labour Party continues to play. Instead of answering the question and being accountable for their own actions, they always answer a question by asking another question. Okay, that question that he's brought up has been answered multiple times. The government has been in office now for 3 years. If there was anything wrong, and I had done anything wrong, I would have expected that the special prosecutor would have already charged me. Okay, and that's just not putting it out bravado. There is nothing that we did that was dubious. There was nothing that we did that was unlawful. And I can only say to you that we were trying to protect St. Lucians. We had no vaccines.
So, as much as nothing dubious was trying to be done, et cetera, it doesn't change the fact of what happened.
What happened?
You know, you said this company he was using, fell through or whatever it may be, and so that way, so now like the $7 million is essentially because of whatever company.
No. There's no woo. Of the $7 million, $3.5 million has already been returned.
Right.
Okay? The gentleman has provided the documents to show the money is in an escrow account because of the court case. Okay. And I want to know this further.
Yeah.
That at any point that the government feels it's not going to get its money, it can seize the land.
Okay.
There are multiple ways of recovering the money. The money is not lost.
So there is security.
There is no woo.
Right.
CIP is woo.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
NLA is woo. GPH is woo. The Halls of Justice are woo. St. Jude's Hospital is woo. HIA is woo. Not vaccine.
Okay. So, another quick question here. It says, do you support the youth economy?
Absolutely.
Okay. You said on many occasions you believe in transparency. Can you give your thoughts on, let's go to another one here.
And let me just say this on the youth economy. Again, this is a classic example of the Labour Party doing what they do best, which is propaganda. I say they're the party of secrets, lies, and propaganda. We were already doing things in the youth economy. Millions of dollars through the Taiwanese and through the World Bank were being pumped into the Development Bank to facilitate loans and grants for young people. Okay? So I applaud them. The argument always was, and even when we were in government and they were in opposition, they felt there should be a separate ministry for youth things. And we kept on saying, no, it's too costly. How are you going to create a different bank and a different processing for the youth economy? It doesn't generate enough. Put it into the Development Bank where you now have experienced loan officers and that you're sharing in the overhead costs. That's the argument. But youth economy, United Workers' Party was leading the way in youth economy.
Okay. Here it says, why are people being denied their tax returns? Last time I received a tax return was 2013, and ever since then I have never received anything. Been filing my taxes every year, and I'm being told by IRD that I owe them. Make it make sense, because I am not the only one sharing this concern.
I think that the tax system is too complicated. I think that there are too many types of different deductions, too many rules, and as a result of it, that the IRD office becomes overly empowered. Because one day the interpretation is this, the next day the interpretation is something else. The United Workers' Party believes in simplifying the tax regime system, lowering the tax rate and reducing the number of different exemptions, etc., that are made. If in fact you have poor people, so let's listen to this for a second, and you tell me if it makes sense. We want to help poor people, so what do? Is we subsidize rice, flour, and sugar.
Okay.
That's the justification for it, right?
Yeah.
But everybody is benefiting, including hoteliers, including people who come from Martinique, right? To buy our rice, flour, and sugar because it's being subsidized.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Versus, should we have a program where the persons who can afford to pay the right price pay it, and then we have now a program where we can give support to the poor people, help them with their electricity bill, help them with their water bill.
So we've never had programs like that before?
No, not targeted. So what we do is we have a fixed bunch of goods that we say we're going to keep them priced at a particular level, again, to help poor people. But everybody's benefiting from it, and it comes at an expense to the state. I would rather see that expense to the state be used now to be more directed, more targeted to the persons who need it. So when you looked at the programs that we were putting in place in our manifesto, was to say, look at the pauper list, let's now bring it down to local government. Okay? Single mothers who don't have jobs, people who are unemployed, Once you meet that status and we confirm that that's what you are, you get direct subsidies.
Okay.
Okay, and then we now know what the cost of poverty is.
Okay. We have the call on that. Okay, you want to take that call and then we can.
All right, yeah, we do have a call. I will put him through. After this call, we'll take a break. When we return, we will change gears. Power 97, you're live. Go ahead.
Good morning to you, and a very good morning to you, Mr. Chastanet.
Good morning. Yes, we're listening. Go ahead. Sorry.
Good morning. My question is, let me first commend the former Prime Minister on his analysis on the the effects of the changes in the economic aspect, rather, of the jazz festival. It's something that I always question. But my question is, with regard to tourism. Under the United Workers' Party, we experienced COVID. And, of course, the COVID kind of highlighted the significance of the tourism industry to this country. So much to the extent that the government, when the government reopened, because the United Workers' Party did the first phase of the reopening of the country, and they got strong opposition from the SLP administration. In spite of that, they still did the first phase of the opening. Of course, the second phase, I think if my memory serves me correct, was done by the SLP administration when they reopened or restarted the Groselet Street Party. My question is, after highlighting the significance of that industry, two administrations did the opening of the country. To date, I always find it questionable that neither of the administrations found it necessary to put any legislation in place to protect that industry in acknowledgement of its significance. Persons may not agree with my advocacy, but I personally believe that there should be a separation from an attack on a tourist and an attack on a citizen. Because there is no time when an ordinary citizen is attacked and the Minister of Tourism or any official have to travel to England or the UK, or the United States, to do damage control. And there's a reason why such a decision would be made. Okay? So my question remains, why haven't we find it necessary to put proper legislation in place to protect that industry, to deter persons from even giving thought to causing any attack on any tourist that comes to this country? If I'm to elaborate, I would refer to it as tourism. Because an attack on a tourist is an attack on country, based on your administration analysis.
All right, Mr. Chastanet, can you answer that one after the break?
Sure.
Can you? Yeah, all right, we'll take that one after the break, sir. Thank you for your call. We'll take a quick break. When we return, Mr. Alan Chastanet is in the Situation Room, and he will address that question.
Thank you for your call. We'll take a quick break. When we return, Mr. Alan Chastanet is in the Situation Room, and he will address that question.
97.9 FM.
Y'all know here what sale Palisades have going on. From 30 to 50% off on back-to-school items, stationery, furniture, clothing, shoes, and so much more. Clearance sale, I tell you. Everything must go. You can even get items for as low as $1. Palisades. Visit us today at Nichols Street, Castries, or call us at 452-2250.
Dream big. Get your own home sweet, get you any style of home. Be your son, saying home sweet home, with a home sweet mortgage, you want home sweet home, home flex, home sweet. See that you home, we get it.
Good morning, people. Quick question from Quick question from Mr. Chastanet. processing plant at Chasse Babono, that was given to us by the Taiwanese. Alright, under your last government and Mr. In the hands of private individuals. The equipment basically disappeared. You know, I'm a little farmer from Chasse Babono. I used to sell my little macambo and passion fruit to the processing.
At Caribbean Pastors Limited, we offer high-quality products from Martinique, and our ready mix is made with casting sand, not regular pumice. Compared to regular pumice, casting sand saves you in your cement use. At Caribbean Pastors Limited, our materials come from porcelain stones, which is used as an additive in creating cement. Caribbean Pastors Limited is located in Bexall, behind Essential Hardware. Give us a call at 489-0074. We're open Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sundays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Caribbean Pastors Limited. Quality construction, our priority.
For the best prices on used and brand new tires, visit us at Shivi's Tire Shop located at the American Drywall Building, Bogotay. We store tires for cars, SUVs, and buses. New tires start at the affordable price of $165 with free installation. Call or WhatsApp us at 584-5986 to get your prices for your specific size today. Shivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
584-5986 to get your prices for your specific size today.
Power 97.9 FM.
Power 97.9 FM, the new number one. We are back in the Situation Room with the former Prime Minister, Mr. Alan Chastanet. And if we could not waste no time and just go directly to addressing this this gentleman's question, the last call that we had there.
Look, I understand the economic impact that tourism made, and I just want to make a very clear distinction that he made between the changeover. We had protocols in place to protect St. Lucians when we reopened. And those protocols were very safe, very, very successful. As I said to you, we had between when we opened up in June until October, no deaths, and our hotels were reopened. But staff had to shower on property, had to have their own transportation, if you remember.
Yeah.
We had limited tours, and everybody was being tested all the time. So when the government came in, they dropped those protocols, and they allowed now for tourism to be more open, in reacting to what was happening in the world, because other people were doing the same thing to remain competitive. So the question that the gentleman made is it's something that comes up very often, and I want to say that the type of image, the type of product that we have in St. Lucia, that would be impossible. What we're selling is St. Lucia. So you can't have two sets of rules in St. Lucia. What we need to do is to fix the crime problem. And any problem that has a negative impact on tourism, but we must fix it first for solutions. Tourists don't want to come where they see there's something that's divided, and there's two sets of rules. They want to be as local as possible. Even though we cry the all-inclusives and stuff like that, they still love going to the Friday night fish fry. We have to raise our standards. We need to improve roads for us, and tourists will benefit. We need to improve the beauty of our island for us, and tourists would benefit. We need to improve the safety for us, and tourists would benefit. And that, to me, creates a much more sustainable long-term solution to the problems.
Well said, well said. All right, can we just quickly shift phases a little bit? We let's talk about the CIP thing. A lot has been going on with the CIP. I actually, Dr. Hilaire was just here recently, and he expressed that the SLP's vision for the CIP was small, kind of exclusive program, and it was done back in about 2015. But then, they left in 2016, or they were out of office in 2016. So UWP essentially got to really execute the CIP, and then a few things changed. The decrease from the price, the 500 applications per year, the minimum net worth, these things changed. If we could start there, And what was the thought process for making these changes?
So the first thing was there was a big argument as to whether St. Lucia should be in CIP in the first place.
Okay.
And I don't think it was our decision to make. We were already in the CIP.
Explain.
So a person can go and get a passport in Dominica, and because they're an OACS citizen, come and work in St. Lucia.
Okay.
So you already had Chinese business people coming to St. Lucia from long ago, and people were complaining. How did they get here? They got their citizenship in Dominica, and because they're part of the OACS, they were allowed to work here. They were allowed to live here.
Okay.
That applies also to St. Kitts. That applied to Antigua, and that applied to Grenada. So you had 4 countries selling citizenships, of which all those persons that they were getting as citizens were benefiting from being part of the OACS.
Okay.
And more so than just a visa-free access. Okay? They could live, they could work in our countries. So here it is that those countries were getting that and getting the money, and St. Lucia was still having to open its doors to them. All right? So going into the CIP program made sense. It would have made even more sense, and that's what we were articulating, that the program be managed at the OACS level. So imagine there was no individual CIP units. It would just be one singular CIP unit at the OACS level. All the monies would go into the OACS Secretariat. Some of the monies would go towards strengthening regional integration. Some of it would, in my mind, would have gone into a fund, a development fund, that could have been made accessible to everybody. All right? And the problems that we're in today would not be there. And I think that the developed countries, England, UK, Europe, America, Canada, would absolutely see no problem in that.
So was that a proposal to the rest of the OACS?
From the day one, the day we got in there, we did that.
And nothing? No one received it? Okay.
There's an economic term called the zero-sum game. The zero-sum game is that they believe they can be the winner. Okay? And that's what was at play. So the idea of charging 3 times the price as anybody else, what was the product? The citizenship to St. Lucia was no different than citizenship to Dominica or citizenship to St. Kitts or to Antigua.
You don't think because of St. Lucia's natural ability that there's a little bit of a difference? Like
natural ability.
The reason why we keep winning Destination of the Year. You don't think that
every island boasts that? But why is the person buying citizenship? What's the primary reason?
Well, I'm sure there are several reasons.
Right.
No, there's a primary reason.
If I want citizenship from
Not
another
you.
country.
The persons who are buying the citizenship today in the marketplace, the global marketplace, are buying citizenship anywhere in the world primarily for what?
Investments?
No.
For different for culture to have citizenship?
No.
Okay, so help us out there.
Visa-free access.
Okay.
So the countries in which St. Lucia has visa-free access to are exactly the same as Dominica, Antigua, St. Kitts, or Grenada. They may be, Antigua is with China, so they get Chinese visa-free. St. Lucia gets Taiwan. All right? But that's what it is.
So, but I would not argue why we can't. I don't think it would be a bad thing if we choose to sell a little more, or if we choose to have our own value. But I do get what you say.
But they're not going to pay for it.
Okay,
The person in Dubai or the person in India or the person in Pakistan is being sold an easy pathway to citizenship, okay, to help them. So those countries, let's take a country in our region that people know, Jamaica.
Yeah.
Many Jamaicans would rather get an OACS passport because we have more visa-free access to other countries than Jamaica does. Okay? If you're living in a country, not Jamaica, but another country around the world that is politically volatile, economically volatile, and there's a possibility that the country may be taken over, and you want a quick way out, you have a passport. Americans who are traveling abroad have now realized they're being targeted. So by having an alternative passport, so look what happened in India at the hotel, What did they do? They went and they looked at the registry, they got all the passport numbers, and they targeted all the Americans who were and the foreigners who were in there. If you have a St. Lucian passport and that's what you registered, you're not going to be as targeted. But the primary reason why people are purchasing a secondary citizenship is for visa-free access.
So the goal was to make it more like affordable, I guess?
No, the point is that you're in a marketplace.
Now, okay, great. I don't go to the Bentley dealership because I can't afford no Bentley. I go to like the Honda dealership.
Okay, but there are people who do go and buy Bentleys.
But there are people who do go buy Bentleys. So let's say like if we created the Bentley dealership, there would be people that would come for that.
And that's a great question.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you were going to buy St. Lucia, I think that they were proposing to sell St. Lucia for $250,000, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? And you had to show all your net worth and stuff like that.
Right.
I could go to Malta and buy a passport for $400,000.
Okay.
And the difference is I'm getting citizenship in an EU country.
Okay.
Which is not visa-free access. I mean, it really is one of the most powerful passports to get. There are programs in America for $500,000. All right? So the OECS countries have to understand where they are positioned in the game. So when we came in and we looked at the 250,000, we went out to the marketplace to try to market it, nobody was going to buy.
So what you're saying is what you did, it would have been inevitable because of...
But guess what? They lowered the real estate from 300,000 to 200,000.
Okay.
Why? And he admitted it. Because to be competitive. All right? And he's even justified in his own arguments. He understood why we went to 100,000. So this idea of bringing up what you were before, that's to get you off the track. Okay? The reality, they're in government. If they really believed in that, go back to it.
Do you think that would be possible?
No.
Okay, all right.
It's impossible, and it's not possible. It's impossible because it would not succeed in the marketplace, and we now know why even more that it wouldn't succeed.
Right.
Because countries like Dominica, I can call out the names.
Yeah.
Countries like St. Kitts were cheating.
Okay.
So even though that they had published by law that it was going to be sold for $100,000, okay, they were selling it for less.
Okay.
Okay. And so in my first 5 years, the first focus that we had was to get the price that we felt was a fair price, but more importantly, the due diligence. Because there was no due diligence. So there's 3 levels of due diligence. Due diligence is background checks.
Yeah.
From a security perspective.
Of course.
The first one is what we call roll span. So it's a computer system. You put the person's name and everything else in, and it tells you a little bit about the person. If a person comes up negative in that roll span, they're not going anywhere because that's the lowest level.
Yeah.
The next one is we have, in parallel, a company that we call a due diligence firm. So if you're getting a passport from Russia, as an example, we have a firm in Russia that actually goes and physically confirms your job is where it is, confirms where you're home, and confirms all the references that you're making. Okay? The third one is it goes to the regional security force. Because the regional security force are the ones who have the relationship with the FBI, with Interpol, and with all of the other intelligence firms around the world. Because those countries are only going to share that information with secure people. So the officers at the regional security force are being tested, lie detector test, okay, on a regular basis.
Right.
Because they are sworn to secrecy, right? That was not happening. Because when we started sending the files to them, there was pure confusion between impacts and RSS. It took us almost a year to get that part resolved. And I refused to allow any citizenships to be approved unless it went through that process. Why? The benefit of the visa-free access is trust. So the Europeans are giving us visa-free access because they trust us. And all the other countries in the world. So we have to protect our borders. We have to meet that standard. And I was not going to allow St. Lucia to be compromised in that regard. Plus, if their standard is the A1, A premium grade. That's what I want for St. Lucia and also for CARICOM. Because persons who get citizenship in St. Lucia also get to go visa-free within CARICOM. I think that's an obligation that we have. We got all of that resolved, okay? Got the prices resolved. And in the 5 years, we were able to sell 800 passports in the 5 years. Okay? Now, the obligation to St. Lucians is what? That there was an act created called the CIP Act, and that act says that the board shall deliver a report, an annual report, and also an audited financial statement. So if you go online, and ask all your callers, go online to CIP, there's a section there, all the reports are there. You can go and look at them. And what does the reports contain? They show you a map of where the applications were made around the world, which countries, and which ones were approved. And it gives you all the details about the CIP unit. Since this government has come in, they have not produced a report. The report that they produced, which was 21-22, was almost virtually completed by us.
Okay, 21-22. Okay. So what you're saying is after there's no fresh. Okay.
No reports.
Okay.
Nobody said a word. Okay. So we don't even know how many passports have been sold. So where this thing now exploded is this guy Martinez. Now there was suspicion before that the passports were being undersold. But there are procedures put in place, what we call checks and balances, that you can determine whether in fact the right amount of money was paid. So I want us to understand, I heard Hilaire go through this, what happens.
Right.
We have what's called a donation program. A person donates $100,000. They do the due diligence. Once the due diligence is approved, they send in the $100,000 to the CIP unit. The citizenship is issued. Once the citizenship is issued, then they can apply for the passport.
Okay.
Okay? The $100,000 goes to the CIP unit, and they transferred into an account called the Economic Fund, which is here in St. Lucia, and is managed by 5 civil servants: the director of finance, the chief economist, the head of audit, and maybe not audit, it would be somebody else, and a private sector person. Okay? They manage it. You then have what's called a bond. So during COVID, when we were short of money, we created what's called the COVID bond. So again, the person does the due diligence. Once the due diligence is approved, they transfer the money for the bond, $300,000, to the CIP unit. The CIP unit sends it to the accountant general. Okay? Once the money is received, the person is given permission to get the citizenship, and then they can go and get their passport.
Okay.
Okay? The bond is that the money stays there for 5 years. They don't pay any interest. And in 5 years' time, the person gets paid back the $300,000. The interest that we're saving comes to about $100,000 for the 5 years. Okay? Then you have the real estate program. To be labeled as a real estate developer, you have to submit plans. The designs of the hotel, you have to design the financials, audited financials of the hotel. There's a full vetting process that you have to go through before you're certified as a tourism developer. When you become a tourism developer, you then go up on the CIP website as being an approved tourism project in St. Lucia. And it says, here's what a person needs to do to be able to apply. Okay? So the person now was paying $300,000. The $300,000 went into an escrow account. The escrow account originally was supposed to be in St. Lucia, but none of the...
Why was it not?
Because none of the agencies were prepared to accept an escrow account and manage an escrow account.
Okay.
It's a very difficult thing.
Okay.
So we chose Hong Kong. Okay? Hong Kong is one of the leading financial centers in the world. You can go to Hong Kong, you can go to London, you can go to Frankfurt, you can go to New York, you can go to San Francisco. Those are
So the reason why it wasn't kept here was because we had no one on the ground to manage this thing.
Nobody
wanted to
handle an escrow
All right.
account.
Okay.
Okay. So the money goes into the escrow account, and so let's say the three of us want to do a deal.
Yep.
Okay. So I come to you, Slim, and I said, I'm going to do some work with Cupid, right? And I'm going to be giving you money over a period of time, and Cupid is supposed to be doing the work.
Yeah.
So we write a contract.
Yeah.
Both of us sign it, we give it to you.
Yeah.
Right? And I sign the contract with you. When the money is transferred to you, Slim, you have to confirm to me that you received the money. She cannot draw down. She can't take money out of the account unless she meets the conditions.
Right.
So if it's to build a building, I'm saying to her, she can only take 10% of the money when she's done the foundation.
Right.
Okay? 10% when she's done the roof. Okay? Another 10% when she's done the walls. So there's a certificate of completion that has to be done that allows her to draw down on the money. So it means she can't just take the money. Okay?
Yeah.
Also, if I tell you, you have to tell me if Timothy is applying for citizenship and he sends you the money, you have to tell me how much money that Timothy sent to me. So I can verify it. So Ernest agreed that when he came into office, he found the escrow account. And when he uses the word that we reconcile the account, what he means is all the persons who were given passports, the amount of money they were supposed to have paid in the escrow account was there. So they were supposed to pay $300,000. The $300,000 was there. You can verify it. Because remember, the money that goes into the CIP unit, they can verify that they've received the money.
Yeah.
Okay? So once now a person does their due diligence, they say, I'm going to apply for citizenship under Galaxy. I do my due diligence first. Once my due diligence is done, then I have to get a letter from the escrow agent to say that he's paid his $300,000 or his $200,000. Yes? Then now the CIP unit issues a certificate, and once he gets the certificate, he can go and get the passport. We're following each other so far?
So far, so good.
Okay. If there is any shortfalls on the money that's being paid in the real estate program, it can only be one person's fault. The government. Because the government cannot issue the certificate unless they confirm you've paid the right amount of money. So if Galaxy is selling the citizenship program under the real estate program below the price, and the money is short when it comes to the escrow agent, then you cannot issue the certificate. So when we say what we are demanding right now is that there be an audit on the escrow account to make sure that all the persons who have been approved to get citizenship, all those persons have paid the right amount of money. And that's the work that the CIP unit should have done. They cannot issue a certificate unless they confirm that the right amount of money was spent.
So okay, go ahead.
So if you were in government right now, with all of the controversy that's going on, what would you?
But you don't know the controversy yet. But you haven't gotten to the controversy yet.
And that's why I wanted to go to, because.
And I'll answer that question.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if we go back to, I think you approved Galaxy.
Yes.
You stamped. You gave the and
So
if they indeed.
No. But
Yeah.
let's. What did that mean? Galaxy applied.
Yep.
Galaxy bought land.
Yep.
Galaxy submitted a plan that had planning approval.
Yep.
And Galaxy selected a management company. And Galaxy also provided P&Ls, a financial statement, as to what they thought the hotel was going to do.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So it's only when they did all those things that they were then approved as a hotel developer.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then when we attempted to open up the escrow account in St. Lucia, we couldn't. So we could, because it's a Chinese company and most of the procurement, most of the purchasing was going to come out of China, we used Hong Kong.
Okay.
Okay? So everything is set up. And that's what I'm saying to you. There can be no cheating in that system. Because the escrow account the money cannot be taken unless the government says yes. And you cannot approve a citizenship for somebody who does not pay the right amount of money, because the escrow agent would tell you how much money they've paid. Now, let's go back. When Galaxy came and they did the assessment of the project was going to cost $300 million. Okay, for the hotel. And we said, okay, we will allow you to sell 700 units, which is at $300,000, is $210 million. The remaining amount of money they were supposed to be bringing in themselves. Okay? So that's where the number 700 comes from. So the process is that once you know what they're going to spend and you think that there's worth it, you now allocate as a government X number of they don't just get to sell. You tell them how much they get to sell. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
We understand that process?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no way in that system it can be cheated. So the question that we're asking Ernest, and I'm saying him because he seems to be the only person that has all the answers. Everybody else is playing dumb. Why is it that you would have changed the rules? Why is it that you lowered the amount of money that Galaxy had to pay, which was, instead of being $300,000, it went to $200,000? And let me say that Galaxy had been attempting to get my government to do the same thing. So I understand.
Okay, and this is just me, like for the same reasons, let's say when you started the CIP, you made these adjustments,
no problem.
to be competitive.
No problem.
Maybe, just on the surface looking, yes.
No problem. Okay? Not my issue.
Yeah.
Okay? That's within your prerogative of a government. Mm-hmm. You assess the situation, you make that determination, cool with me.
Right.
May not be happy, but I'm cool.
Yeah.
But the question is, and that's where things start getting blurry. So Claude Emmanuel, who is the CEO, gets put on this RICO case in the States, right? We didn't know that Claude went to Washington, D.C. He didn't tell anybody. The government didn't tell anybody. So apparently he went to Washington, D.C. with his wife. And he met with the lawyers of Martinez. And in addition to the lawyers of Martinez, he met the law enforcement agents in the U.S. who are also investigating the case. So Martinez has his own court case. And the information is being provided to the U.S. law enforcement agents who are also conducting their own investigation. He says nothing. He comes back home, zip. Martinez then comes on a TV show with the reporter Lisa Joseph and says that Claude Emmanuel came to Washington, D.C. Okay? And that Claude Emmanuel confirmed to him that Galaxy was given 6,000 files. So instead of 700 files at the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
the price was lowered to 200,000, and they were given 6,000 files.
Okay.
Okay? And that on the infrastructure program, which we will get to, they were given 7,000 files. And he also said to Martinez, that's what Martinez is saying, that Emmanuel said he doesn't know. The person who's making all the decisions is the board, Lauren Theophilus in particular, and Ernest Hilaire as the minister. He's just following orders. And therefore he doesn't believe that he should be on the RICO case. He comes back home, said nothing. A couple of days later, issues a press statement on the CIP letterhead that says, yes, I went to Washington, D.C. So we now know he did go to Washington, D.C. There's no denial. Except he said that he went to Washington, D.C. to defend the CIP unit.
All right, let's pause for a second. Let's pause for a second. Let me take a quick break.
For the news, and get back, we'll continue.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break here, like you said, for your Power News on the hour, folks. We have Mr. Alan Chastanet in studio with us in the Situation Room. You know, we discussing everything. Back in a little bit. This is Power 97.9 FM, the new number 1.
Unstoppable Radio. Power 97.9 FM.
Plug into Digicel Plus Home Fiber Internet and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. Stream the best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Digicel Plus. Enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle starting as low as $136 per month. Enjoy lightning fast speed starting at 250 megabytes all the way up to 1 gig. Sign up for Digicel Plus package at a Digicel store or call 106 for more information.
Dream big, make it your own. Home Sweet gets you any style of home. Be yourself saying home sweet home with a home sweet mortgage. You are number one. Home Sweet, home quest, home flex, home switch. Need a new home, we get it. Home Sweet, home quest, home flex, home switch. Act now when you won't regret it. POSL. Banker Solutions enhanced home sweet mortgages are designed around you. Home Flex, a home equity line of credit. Home Quest for professionals building new dreams. And Home Switch, time to bring your mortgage home to us. Home Sweet Mortgages, make it your own. Home Sweet, Home Quest, Home Flex, Home Switch. Need a new home, we get it. POSL. For more information, call 456-6999 or go to bankofstlucia.com. POSL.
This is Power News. Your news now.
Good morning. I am Marlon Amab with your Power News in 97 seconds, folks. It is brought to you by Digicel, Better Together, and Bank of St. Lucia. All the bank you need. Trending at this time in St. Lucia, a woman struck by a vehicle near the Bize Junction in Castries on Saturday has succumbed to multiple injuries. Reports indicate that a Ford Ranger pickup hit the woman as she crossed the highway median. The responders who rushed to the scene shortly after 8 p.m. found the woman unresponsive. And in St. Lucia, St. Lucians here and abroad continue to celebrate as history was created on Saturday when the island received its first Olympic gold medal after Julian Alfred bolted through the 100-meter race finals. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre has announced plans for a holiday in honor of Julian Alfred's historic gold medal win. Speaking during a Sportsmax interview, when asked whether there would be a national holiday, Prime Minister Pierre said, "All I can say is there will be a holiday," while giving no further details. Meanwhile, Julian Alfred is also competing in the opening round of the women's 200-meter race. Going in Heat 1 at 4:55 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time, the 23-year-old easily navigated her opening round of the 200-meter. Alfred gets a chance to rest properly now until the next round of the 200-meter semifinal race at 2:45 p.m. Monday, with the final on Tuesday evening. And finally, all trending internationally, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has appealed for protests to end after bloodshed during 3 days of demonstrations over a deepening cost of living crisis. At least 7 people have died and more than 700 have been arrested since Nigerians nationwide rallied on Thursday for the first of 10 planned days of rage. And that, folks, was your Power News in 97 seconds, brought to you by Digicel, Better Together, and Bank of St. Lucia. All the bank you need. I am Marlon Amab. Good morning.